and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What are we talking about? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40! Can't wait! Let's go!
Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show here on Sports Empire Network. It's the morning show with Chris and Mo. I am Chris, and that, of course, is Mo. Mo, how are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing great, man. We're getting ready to go into another week of the NFL. We got Thursday Night Football, and we have a monster blockbuster trade in the NBA.
We do. It's finally over, Mo. The saga that is Dame Lillard has finally come to an end, and it wasn't exactly what we thought that it was gonna be. We got a little curveball thrown to us. They didn't ship him out of the country. They didn't ship him to the Toronto Raptors. It looks like, the Toronto deal was never really actually in place. It seems that in the final days, obviously the Bucks became a potential landing spot. It seems like the Nets were also a potential landing spot based on some of the commentary after the trade was over. But Mo, let's just get your initial reactions here. What do you think of the actual move in general? The parts that were shipped around, what the Suns got out of this, what the Bucks got out of this, what the Blazers got back in return. What is your initial reaction for the three teams involved, and did each benefit from what happened yesterday?
I actually think everybody got what they wanted. Remember, the Blazers not only got back assets, they not only got back a number one pick, they also got a trade swap, and they got back Drew Holiday, who they're going to move. They're not going to keep Drew Holiday, so they have another tradable asset. They're going to get more assets from Drew Holiday. And then with the Bucks, obviously, you know the situation. You know what Giannis said, how he put it out there. He needed to make sure the organization was invested. They needed to make moves. You can't get a bigger move when you upgrade to an all NBA guard, right? So now and they're going to be a completely different team. And people don't understand that. They're gonna be more offensive minded. Dame gives them shot making. He gives them somebody potentially who can be a closer offensively. But when you lose to Drew Holiday, there is a cost, and it will be on the defensive side of the basketball because Dame doesn't give you anything on that side of the ball. So there's going to be a balance. And what I would say is every team got what they were looking for. What Phoenix got was amazing because they got rid of Aiden and they basically have a bench. What they did is they got a bench and they got Nurkic back. And what people need to know is, yes, Nurkic has had injury problems, but from a production standpoint, there's not a great loss. A healthy Nurkic gives you 14 and 10. Aiton at best gave you 18 and 10. Neither one of them impacted the game consistently on defense. And more importantly, as a fourth option, Nurkic will be a much better fit and a much better teammate. Aiton could never handle the role of being a fourth option. So I actually think everybody came out of it. If you look at the overall scope and the roster construction, everybody got what they wanted. I think your mic is muted, Chris.
Oh, Mo, that was a classic rookie mistake there. I
Hey,
apologize for that,
I've
sir.
done it. We're good.
I like that Portland waited. Portland did what they said they were going to do. They waited for the move that best benefited them. This wasn't a situation where, well, we heard it the entire time. Miami or bust. I'm going to Miami. That's where I want to go. I may not play for another team. I may not show up for another team. And then you had all these Dame loyalists come out and say, he did so much for you. Move him.
Right.
Put him where he wants to go. And Mo, we talked about it for weeks here in the morning show that's not how business works. If you can make it so that you can make the loyalty of the player pay off and also do what's best for the franchise, sure, let's have that be a jumping off point. And for a while there, that's what Portland tried to do. They only were engaging in conversations with Miami, and they stuck with those conversations, trying to get the most they could out of Miami, and they just hit a roadblock. And Miami didn't think he was worth what they were asking, and they thought he was worth what they were asking, and neither team wanted to budge. And we had numerous conversations here on the morning show of who was going to blink first, and Portland blinked first. They went and found a better deal. They went and found exactly what they wanted from somewhere else. And Mo, as I sit here and I look at Miami this morning, you dropped the ball. You're not better now. In fact, you're worse now because he went to another team in your conference that you were already going to be competing with as a potential championship contender.
Right.
And they got better. Now, granted, they still have flaws. I'm not going to sit here like some Milwaukee fans this morning and say that they're on their way to the Eastern Conference Finals, guaranteed. I think that, what they did was nice. But they, like you said, they still have some flaws, and now we're looking particularly at the defensive side of the ball as far as something they need to figure out. But the point is, if you're Miami, you didn't get any better, and someone else on your side of the conference did. So I don't know how to feel if I'm a Miami Heat fan this morning.
You should feel bad.
Aside from the fact that he was yours for the taking, you just didn't want to take him.
Right, and guess what? They're now. Guess what they're doing? Miami is in pursuit of Drew Holiday. See how that works, right? So now they're in pursuit of Drew Holiday. Which, by the way, if you think about it, with the way their culture is and what they're known for, he's actually a better fit.
Yeah,
he's actually a better fit. He's got that kind of hard nosed grind dog mentality, like a Jimmy Butler, like a Bam Adebayo. So he's actually more of a Heat than Dame would have ever been. So he's a better fit. Now I don't know if he's going to go there because there's no shortage of contenders that are calling Portland up right now, asking what can we do. Boston is looking to make a move. They've even got Golden State who said, we love Chris Paul. We love him. He fits. He's going to lead our second unit. And now Golden State is saying, like, if we could get Drew, we'll move Chris Paul in a second. Like, and why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? That's an upgrade. They'd be a much better team with the current version of Drew Holiday versus the current version of Chris Paul. So Pat Riley got a little arrogant. He really thought it's us or bust. The guy told you he wants to come here. And what we talked about over and over, Portland's GM, his first job, his first loyalty was to the franchise. What we can do to better the franchise, not where we can send Dame to make Dame happy. What we know is Dame already signed the extension. So if he gets traded, it's not like he's going to be in the last year of his deal. His deal is good for another 3 or 4 years. And it's over $200 million. And with the new CBA, if you don't play, you don't get paid. So you really think Damian Lillard gets traded to Milwaukee and go, well, because I'm in Milwaukee, I'm not going to play because I wanted to be in Miami. That guy's going to play. Of course he's going to play. Plus, he's 33 years old. He can't afford to waste a season. He's going to play.
No, you're 100%.
The only question I have is, how good will Milwaukee be? We know they're going to be better than Miami. Don't forget, a lot of those guys that helped Miami get to the finals, they traded them away. A lot of the guys are gone. They were banking. They were putting their whole offseason on acquiring Damian Lillard. And now that he's off the table, I think the Heat are in disarray.
And Mo, right now we're gonna bring Brett onto the show. Brett likes the Bucks. Brett is a Bucks guy. So if we're gonna find out, what is the state of the Bucks this morning now that they have Damian Lillard, let's just go straight to the source. Brett, welcome to the morning show, Coffee and Sports. How are you this morning, sir? See, Brett did what I did. Brett, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
You're muted too, Brett.
You did what I did. It's that kind of morning for us over here.
I think everybody's too excited about the trade.
I know, right? I'm telling you. Brett's having some mic issues over there. He'll figure it out. Mo. I have faith in Brett this morning.
Me too. He kind of reminds me of one of those movies with the subtitles. Right? It's okay. I watch those or I read those.
I read those. I can't do subtitles, Mo. I can't do them.
My wife refuses to do subtitles, and me, because I'm just a movie buff, I'll read through it.
See, Mo, I think you are a classier person because of that. You strike me as like the Forum Film Festival kind of guy.
Oh no, I'm not that classy. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm not that classy at all.
Well, while Brett is figuring out his technical difficulties on his side, we got Mo. We got people lined up this morning that want to talk about Damian Lillard and this trade. So we're gonna bring Freddie Fax onto the show right now, and Mo, before we bring Freddie on, I have to say Freddie was a voice, and we'll see if he's changed his opinion at all. But he was a voice who said that the Trailblazers need to do right by Dame, and they need to do what Dame has earned, and that is just get him to where he wants to go. So let's see if Freddie has the same tune this morning, or if he has a different opinion as he comes on to the morning show. Welcome, Freddie Fax, to the morning show this morning. Freddie, how are you, sir?
Well, everybody's doing it.
Everyone's got mic issues this morning. This is wild, Mo.
It is.
No one wants to come talk to us this morning.
It's subtitle day. Come on, Freddie. You too?
Y'all can't hear me?
Oh, there he is.
Okay. My bad. Good morning. Chris, morning. I'm glad you brought me on the show by Freddie Facts because I speak nothing but the facts. And, man, I'm so excited this morning, y'all. Hey, I'm so excited. Y'all know I'm a Lakers fan. Y'all know that all day, every day. But this was the best trade that could have happened. This is what I was talking about. Portland, do right by Dame Lillard. Put him in a winning situation. I hear, this man has put that team on his back. He's carried that franchise for years. I mean, he's done so much for that organization. He made Portland relevant. Let's just be honest. He made them relevant. And, let's just be honest. They exceeded expectations. They went to a couple conference finals, which nobody had them in. I mean, let's just be honest. It was Portland, it was Dame or bust. Even when they had CJ, I mean, they didn't have enough. But I want to talk about the loser in the trade, Chris. I don't know if this is a topic. I'm sorry, but there's a team that I think you and Mo will be both surprised in the loser in this. Can I let the people know?
Let them know
who's
Freddie.
The loser. The loser is the Philadelphia 76ers. Well, you say, why? They wasn't a part of the 3-team deal. This is just another example of a team to make their superstar happy. Look what the Bucks did. Giannis come out and say, I am not signing until I know that this team is ready to win. And what did they do? They go out and trade for freaking Damian Lillard. Like, nobody had the Milwaukee Bucks on this list. Nobody did. And then I'm going to work, Mo, driving my car, listening to my music, and I'm seeing some notifications pop up on my phone, and I said, what? Dang, did the Heat get him? To the Bucks? What? How did Giannis pull this off? Like, no, that it was out of the blue. But what I'm saying is, y'all, this is moves that teams do to make their superstar happy. And we seen Joel Embiid. And granted, the Sixers have tried. They go out and get a James Harden. They go out and get a Jimmy Butler, but they trade them. They've made all kind of moves, but they don't make the right moves. Could you imagine Dame Lillard, Joel Embiid with Maxey? But I'm gonna tell y'all, man, I don't think this team gonna change Milwaukee. Milwaukee's here to stay. I understand Dame's not the defender that Drew Holiday is, but let's just be honest. let's just be honest. We've seen guys have weakness on the defensive end, and they still able to be a good defensive team. Look at Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry has never been that great defender, but he competes. Dame, he'll compete on defense, but he's not going to be elite on defense. But what he do bring to this team, man, Giannis is about to, man. I'm gonna tell y'all, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Oh man, he about to eat now because he's never had a player like Dame. He's never had a player like Dame where he can say, here, the last couple minutes of the game, take us there. And Dame is not going to run. Dame is not going to hide. Dame is going to accept that challenge. And Dame is about to be, yeah, we about to see another version of Dame as well. I'm excited.
Freddie, I am happy that you are excited about this, but a couple of things I want to touch on. Number one is, I like this. I like the positivity. I like the spin that you put on this, but don't lose in this that they didn't do this for Dame. Dame wanted to go to Miami. That was his destination. That is the place he wanted to go. Now, I will give you that they still found a contender to put him on. I will give you that they still found a team where it wasn't like sending him to purgatory, where he can still compete for championships. But don't come in here this morning and get it super twisted and be like, they did this for Dame. They did this because of their loyalty to Dame. No, if they wanted to appease Dame, they would have sent him to his number one destination, which was Miami. That didn't work out. Now, I'll give you this. When they went to Plan B, they made sure he still got on a winning team. They didn't go to a team that's garbage and say, give me your best offer, and they sent him somewhere where he wasn't going to win. They also looked at other teams that supposedly he wanted, which, by the way, Mo, I mean, it's interesting that it's Miami, and then all of a sudden at the end, there's apparently two other teams that he was interested in. Milwaukee and the Nets were also apparently on his list. So, Mo, I ask you, were they always on his list, Mo? Or is this a situation where Dame kind of figured out towards the end, I'm not going to Miami. Miami is not going to work out. I better give them another team or two. Otherwise, who knows where they're going to send me if Miami doesn't go my way.
I think he came to the reality of Miami wasn't going to happen. And he also realized that particular GM, was not going to budge off of what he wanted. He was going to make the best deal for the Blazers. So in the end, I think Dame started talking about, well, I wouldn't mind going to the Raptors, right? We heard their name pop up, and people thought maybe it could be Toronto. So the list got bigger. It went from one team or bust to about 4 teams. And I think what Milwaukee did was they still looked for the best deal for the franchise. Milwaukee put together, along with Phoenix, the best package for their franchise. So I like the move. It's great that Dame ended up with a contender because it's great for the league. It's exciting. It's a lot of buzz. And I get it. Right now, Milwaukee's an early favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference. I'm a huge Giannis fan. Not a secret. He's one of my guys. Having said that, games are played and decided on the floor. I have no idea what Giannis Antetokounmpo will look like with Dame Lillard. I've heard people say, well, when you put them in the pick and roll, how are you going to stop it? You're going to stop it the way you always stop it. When Giannis gets into the restricted area, you're going to foul him. He's Superman, but he does have a kryptonite, and it's called the free throw line. You're going to foul him. And if he doesn't make his free throws, it'll be a wasted trip down court. What Dame gives them is shot making, and he spaces the floor because of his range. And he has the ability to take people off the bounce. So he does spread the floor out. He will give Giannis more operating room. But I can't judge Milwaukee on what they'll be in the regular season because they're going to be very, very good in the regular season. Ultimately, what we judge them by is what they do in the postseason, right? When the floor shrinks, when the competition rises, how good will they be then? So on paper, exciting. Looks like it might be the best 1-2 combo in the league on paper. But let's see what it looks like in the postseason. Let's see if Damian Lillard's going to be healthy late in the season. He struggled with his health over the last couple of seasons. Injuries are a factor. We are talking about an older player, and I don't know if he can play 37, 38 minutes right now. So it's a big move. it's a big move. But my concern with Milwaukee chemistry and the idea that Dame and Giannis alone guarantee you a championship, I don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's that simple at all because I think that there are other teams in the East that are better matchups for Milwaukee. Let's not forget, I've heard people say, well, they've got, never mind that Dame can't give you anything defensively. You've got Brook Lopez and Giannis, who are both defensive player of the year candidates. Right. But they had both of those guys on the floor when Jimmy Butler was obliterating them. It doesn't matter. They're both more in the restricted area in terms of how they defend. Giannis doesn't play on the perimeter defensive lane anymore. That guy that used to do that was 4 or 5 years ago. He doesn't guard small forwards. He doesn't guard perimeter players. He doesn't have the lateral quickness to do that anymore. So the idea that you have Giannis and Brook Lopez, that's good for rim protection. It doesn't help you out on the perimeter at all.
Oh my God! Can I go, Chris? I got.
You can go right after Brett. We got Brett back over here. Brett, biggest Bucks fan at the network. How are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you guys today?
What's up, Brett?
We are happy to have you here. Big day for the Bucks, Brett. Freddie's excited for the Bucks. I would imagine that you are excited as well. But Brett, I want to ask you, where are the Bucks big picture now as opposed to where they were yesterday? Are they a clear number one in your mind coming out of the East? Are they just slightly better once they make the playoffs? How much of the needle do you think, as a Bucks fan, has been moved by adding Dame to your team?
So there's going to be some pros and cons to both sides of the Damian Lillard trade. I think the biggest con to by getting rid of Drew Holiday is the Bucks are really lacking a point of attack defender. So what the Bucks are going to end up doing is chasing 3-point shooters off the line, but I think what's going to hurt them is now Drew would kind of dictate where the offensive player went. I think now they're going to be able to get more freely into the mid-range and towards the paint, which is where I think Brook and Giannis will defer him. Where I think the Bucks defense will really struggle is going to be the kick-out three. They're going to get to the paint, they're going to suck in the defense, kick it out for three. So I think that's going to be the biggest issue with the Milwaukee defense. Overall, the other con is obviously health. That's going to be the biggest question with this team in building chemistry. Giannis is dealing with injuries. Dame hasn't been healthy. Chris Middleton's knees are kind of seem like they're going on him. But on the flip side, I think this will be really fun to watch. I think that you're looking at an offense that's going to generate a quality look almost every time they go down the floor. I think they really will, because you can foul Giannis when he gets deep into the paint. That's fine, but he's a good enough playmaker that a lot of the times they'll have to put extra defenders down there to stop him or try to foul him. And at that point, he's kicking it out. Dame's a phenomenal playmaker, so I think the amount of open looks they're going to generate in the half court, I think that's going to be worth the trade-off defensively, because you look at what Milwaukee couldn't do very well these past couple playoff series. It was generate offense in the half court. It wasn't necessarily the defense that killed us. So
What?
Half of them?
What?
Hold on. Because it was Miami hit like 42% of their contested threes. Jimmy is hitting shots that Jimmy had never hit in his life. So I wasn't not too worried about that. That shot making was just next level insanity that they pulled off in the first round.
To be fair, Jimmy Butler has beaten the Milwaukee Bucks 2 out of the 3 times they played in playoffs. It's not a fluke. You remember that first time they met up? You know who they put on Jimmy Butler to say, I'm going to stop this guy, I'm going to end this? He had just won Defensive Player of the Year. And Jimmy Butler ate Giannis alive. So I don't want to get it twisted. You want to say Miami made some crazy threes last year? Sure, they were hot, but they were making shots. Look at the scores in those games in that series. Milwaukee had no problem scoring, except for the fact, if you watch the last 2 games, Brett, your best player, he can't miss 36 free throws. Giannis, no one talked about it because they were talking about Jimmy Butler eating up Drew or eating up Middleton, basically eating up whoever guarded him. But Giannis quietly killed them because he couldn't make free throws. You can't miss 36 free throws. Not in 2 games. You can't do that.
Oh, so yeah.
All I'm saying is I'm a huge Giannis fan. And I give him all the credit. The year they won the championship, he hit his free throws. He did the thing that he had to do to win a title. But because that's his biggest flaw, teams are going to still foul him. That's not going to change. And until he gets over that hurdle, late in games, I don't care if Dame has the ball or not, they're going to double Dame. They're actually going to force the ball into Giannis's hands. Do you know why? They want to foul Giannis. Like I don't think it's as simple as Dame can shoot, and so they're going to get clean looks in tight games. Teams are going to double Dame and make Giannis touch the ball or make Middleton touch the ball. I don't think Dame Lillard's going to get to play one-on-one in the playoffs. So I understand the excitement. I understand why people are going, Milwaukee's coming out of the East, but I would tell people, pump the brakes. Talent is one thing. Developing chemistry is another thing. And how it impacts you on both sides of the floor, that determines how good a team you are. And all I'm saying is, this is an older Bucks team. No one puts that out there. They got Dame, right? But look across the board. Everybody that's not named Giannis is in their 30s. They're an older team, and they're a slower team. I would argue that Milwaukee is probably one of the least athletic teams in the entire NBA. So I get it. It looks good on paper, but before we anoint them and set up the parade route, let's see what it looks like on the floor.
Freddie, if let's again, we say this all the time. We don't want to dismantle a team for health. Let's assume they stay healthy. They stay healthy in the regular season. They hit the postseason. They're at full strength. Is there a team on paper in the Eastern Conference right now, fully healthy, that is better in your mind than a fully healthy Milwaukee Bucks team this season?
No. I'm tired of this. Like, I'm chomping by the bits right now. I'm a kid at a candy store, sitting here listening, reading all the comments, just going crazy right now. What are we talking about, y'all? I mean, no, there's not a better team. I mean, just I'm gonna tell you how it works. Mo don't know how it works. I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna work. Giannis gonna push the pace of it. He's gonna push the ball up. And guess what that's gonna do? That's gonna make the defenses collapse. Because guess what? You have to pick and choose your poison. Either you're gonna let Dame get you on the outside, or no, either you're gonna let Giannis eat you up on the inside, or guess what? The perimeter guys are gonna knock down the shot. They have guys that's capable that are snipers. You have a Brook Lopez who can be on the 3-point shot. It might, because I don't know how can you double Dame when you have snipers, Mo? This isn't like Russell Westbrook joining the Lakers, brother. This isn't this situation, because you have shooters all over the court.
You don't
You
have to
have
bail him all the
Dame.
time, Freddie. He'll miss
Hold on,
his
hold on,
he'll
hold
miss
on.
his
I'm gonna
fair
tell you.
share. He'll miss his fair share.
No, he won't. You
Yes,
got
he will.
Dame.
Yes,
You
he will.
got Pat.
If you're a numbers guy, yes, he will. The numbers say he actually misses
Hey,
more than he makes, so
I
he'll miss his fair
guarantee he
share.
go. I guarantee he gonna knock about 40% down threes this year. I
And I
guarantee
guarantee
that
you,
for
in the
sure.
playoffs, he won't shoot that well.
And like I said, you have Dame, you have Pat Cunningham. I can't say his name right. Then you have
Pat Connaughton.
you Pat Connaughton. You have Brook Lopez who can shoot the three. I mean, you have guys that you can put around Giannis that can knock down the three. So you have to pick and choose your poison. What are you going to do? Are you? And then this defense you're talking about, I don't see how they're going to just become all of a sudden this bad defensive team. I don't. I don't see that. The only concern that I have about this team is the new head coach, unexperienced. That's the only concern that I have. Now, if
That
we're
was
talking
Giannis's
about
pick. That's Giannis's boy. He picked
no,
him.
I agree. I agree that if this was Brudenhauser there, okay, we seen him coach big guys. That's the only concern that I have. And then I want to comment on Gene because he talked about Pat Riley earlier. And then I'm gonna leave the show because y'all having me boiling this morning. I mean, I'm hot. I'm hot. I'm sorry,
A little
Chris.
high.
I'm hot. I'm sorry. They did. Mo came up here saying some craziness, and Gene's in the comment going crazy. Talking about, oh, we gotta blame this on Pat Riley. Oh, his stubborn guy. Like, no, we don't. Let's just be honest. If who had the sexier pick? Who had the sexier pick? Who? I mean, Tyler Hero isn't. I mean, they just reported. Shams just reported that the first call that the Portland Trailblazers made, they wanted either Jimmy Butler or they wanted Bam. Miami didn't really have that many sexy picks to give them. Let's just be honest. And I know they fired him, but I'm just saying they made a mistake by firing him because you don't fire a championship head coach, a guy that's capable of doing what he's doing. That's what I'm saying. But all I'm saying, and then And let's just be honest, who else lost this trade? Who else? The Phoenix Suns. Everybody is so happy that they got Nurkic. Okay, please. He don't make them better defensively. Nurkic isn't the same guy he was a few years ago. He's older. You gave up on a guy and DeAndre Ayton, who we have not seen his potential. I definitely understand that. But can we see him with Frank Vogel? We seen what Frank Vogel did in LA with all those bigs. Can we see that what he can turn that guy into? He's going to get ate up in the post. Nurkic is going to get ate up by Nikola Jokic in the post. Like he's not the answer. Like
Freddie, everybody gets eaten up by Nikola Jokic in the post, so I don't think Nurk should feel bad. It's not like he wasn't shredding Ayton like butter. So I mean, I don't think there's a big fall off. And Nurkic is only 29. Now, if you want to say that Nurkic's issues is he struggles to stay healthy, I grant you that is his issue. But look at the roster that Phoenix constructed. They didn't construct that roster to play defense. They're not going to play defense. They're going to try to outscore you. KD's not going to play defense. Bill doesn't play defense. Booker's not going to lock anybody down. That team's not built to play defense. It's built to score points and
that's where their
outscore
weakness.
you.
And that's where their weakness is going to be. And Gene, I agree. I would have ignored the call too. Portland wanted them to gut that team down. Pat Riley is smart. He knows what it takes to make winning basketball, would win championships. And he know if you want Jimmy Butler or you want Bam or you want me to gut this team, that's not the answer. And then that's all I'm saying. And Dame isn't a gutless loser. I mean, Dame has been in Portland by himself, scraping the crud off that street, off that city.
He didn't call Dame gutless. He called Ayton gutless. Freddie, I agree with you. I agree that the Milwaukee pick was better. I agree they went with the sexier option. I agree they went with the best option on the table. But let's not forget that for a very long time, the only girl that was wanting to go to the dance was Miami. That was the one.
That we know of.
I think it was pretty clear that Miami was the only one. I think when the NBA
reason why I say that is because that I believe Dame wanted that out publicly, but I think there's other teams probably because Shams did say that Milwaukee was in conversation from the beginning and stayed on those calls through the whole time. But the public just didn't know that.
When the league has to come out and publicly say, stop saying things like he will only play in Miami. Right. Stop saying things like you're only going to negotiate with Miami.
Right.
Stop saying things like he won't play if you trade him somewhere else. When the league has to come out and make that statement to the teams, clearly Miami was the only team involved initially. And they just didn't get a deal done. And Freddie, I agree with you. I agree that they shouldn't have gutted the entire franchise just to get Dame and Butler on the table. But you also have to look at it from the Miami point of this was their move. They didn't do anything else except for lose pieces this offseason. And now they're going into the regular season far worse than where they went into or where they ended up last season. And let's not forget, they ended up last season as the 8th seed. The 8th seed that got really, really hot in the playoffs. So if you're a Heat fan this morning, you were an 8th seed last year that got really, really hot in the playoffs. You lost some pieces from that team. I don't really know how great you're going to be this season. And I don't really know if you can do anything. But before
be a good team.
Before we get Freddie and Mo out of here, I want to talk about one more thing. And we got baseball coming up next with JG coming on the show. But gentlemen, and the fallout of all this, before Dame dropped his dedication track, which I also think is a complete joke, but we can discuss that another time. Before all that happened, we had Jimmy Butler come on social media, and it could have been a little tongue in cheek. It could have been a little, just a little frustrated in the moment. I'm sure that in the aftermath of this, he's going to say that he was joking and, just a little ha-ha poke. But he came out and he basically said the NBA needs to look into Milwaukee for tampering. Again, there's 8 different ways you can look at it, right? You can look at it and be like, oh, Chris, he was joking. He was just playing around. You can look at it and be like, he was in his feelings. He thought that he was going to have Dame as a running mate this season, and now he doesn't. And he knows what that's going to look like this season. So, Freddie, we'll start with you. Much to make of it, just him being in the moment of being a little upset, him actually having feelings that Milwaukee did something wrong. Where do you sit on the initial comments of the tampering claims from Jimmy Butler in the moments after the Damian Lillard trade?
Everybody tampers Jimmy. Come on, bro. It's the NBA. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, he just in his feelings. I mean, when these guys at the All-Star games, Team USA, pickup games, workouts, they're all tampering. I mean, I'm just saying. Let's stop it. Pump the brakes, bro. I mean, his feelings hurt. He was just hoping that he was get some more help. But yeah, everybody tampers. This is the new age in the NBA. We see it all the time. We see the NBA make rules where you can't talk to players, you can't make deals by a certain time in free agency. But we all know the moves before free agency even starts. It is nothing new. You get over it.
That's why Sham reports deals 2 weeks before they actually happen.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Brett, final comments are yours. You can talk about Jimmy Butler. You can talk about the future of the Bucks. Take it away, sir.
Man, I think Jimmy's just salty because he's going to have to try to carry a bunch of G Leaguers and Uber drivers again to the finals, and it's not going to be pretty. Listen, like I said, there's definitely flaws to what Milwaukee's going to try to do here. It might work, it might not. There's going to be a drop-off in defense, but I really do believe that the boost we're going to get in half-court offense is going to make up for that. Giannis, even, we're going to talk, if they double Dame in the clutch, Chris Middleton was still, in the last 20 games of the season or so, is almost hitting those 50, 40, 90 splits. Do I think he's a number 2 option anymore? No. But as a 3, I think he's going to probably be able to replicate that again throughout the entire season. Pat Connaughton elevates his game in the playoffs. He normally is a very clutch shooter in the playoffs, so I think we're looking at a situation where even if they take the ball out of Dame's fans, I think we'll be fine. So I think Jimmy's just salty because at the end of the day, Miami lost a lot of its talent, a lot of its role players, and a lot of its floor spacing. So Jimmy, at the end of the day, he knew they needed Dame. They needed someone. And Pat Riley didn't deliver. I get it. The Blazers wanted a lot. But at the end of the day,
why do I keep blaming this on Pat Riley, though, right? I'm tired of this. Like, we need to stop this slander. I will not accept any Pat Riley slander. If anybody knows what it takes to do to win championships, it's him. He knew that if he got this team, that it was going to be the same thing would happen with the Lakers when they made the mistake by Russell Westbrook. I guarantee if Pat Riley's with the Lakers, then we would not have made that trade. So I'm tired of the blame that Pat Riley's taking. I mean, come on, man. Like, bro, he did not want to gut the team up. He did not want to make a trade where it's just Dame and Jimmy Butler and a bunch of G League guys or a bunch of old guys.
The team was already gutted in free agency.
Yeah, but like I said, Shams just reported that the initial call that Portland made is that they wanted Jimmy Butler or they wanted Bam. Nope, Tyler Hero is not a sexy pickup.
Well, we can all agree that nothing about Tyler Hero's basketball game is sexy, gentlemen. Right. But we love having both of you on the show this morning to break down the Damian Lillard trade. Shout out to Freddie and Brett for coming on. Gentlemen, we will see you next time here on the morning show, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mo, at this time, we got JG backstage. JG is going to come on to talk some Major League Baseball with us.
Share the knowledge, JG.
The season is wrapping up. The playoffs are coming. You know, Mo, every time I see JG, he always has this little smile in the corner of his face because his boy Acuna is doing something crazy over there. 40
history
home runs, 70 stolen bases, easily going to be the National League MVP. And on the other side, even though he's injured and he hasn't been around in a hot second, Ohtani is the favorite to win the AL MVP. So, JG, I want to get the conversation started off this morning with the MVP races. Is there any dark horse on either side? Or because the betting favorites are astronomical right now on those two players. Is there anyone that, for whatever reason, could even garner first place votes besides these two.
Closer than what it really should be, because you'll have those who think that Mookie Betts deserves to be the MVP just because he plays two positions. He's played second base and he's played outfield, and that's a big argument that a lot of the people in LA are making, is that Mookie should be MVP because of what he means to the Dodgers. But at the same time, what we have seen from Ronald Acuna this year, it's history. And from what I've experienced in my life watching baseball, when you have a historical season, last year we had it with Aaron Judge. You saw it, Chris, being a Yankee fan. Aaron Judge had a historical season. So we've seen Shohei Ohtani doing historical things. When you have history and you're on on the best team in baseball, you're going to be winning the MVP. Not taking away what Mookie Betts has done. Mookie Betts has had a phenomenal season. But if you compare and contrast the two, Acuna has done it from day one this year. Mookie at the beginning of the year started out a little slow, turned it up in June, and he got caught fire in August and has put himself in the conversation. But Acuna's been doing it all year. So you'll have those who will vote for Mookie. I don't think it should be close. I don't think it should be close. Will it be close? I think it will be closer because he is in LA. The LA market is going to absolutely want Mookie to win the award. Big city, big market versus Atlanta, smallish market. You'll have the conversation of the two, but it shouldn't be any close. It should not be close because of what the season that has meant for what we have seen Ronald do, something that nobody in 162 or 163 years of professional Major League Baseball, we have never seen a 40-70 season. And here we are today, we see it in 2023. So Ronald Acuna, my opinion, should run away. I won't go unanimous. I won't say unanimous MVP, but it should not be close. For the American League, I think it's going to be closer than what we really think. One, because Ohtani hasn't played all month due to the elbow injury he had, and Corey Seager has had a phenomenal season. And it's kind of the same thing. He missed some time at the beginning of the year, with injury. He's missed some time here and there throughout the season. But for what he has played and what he has meant for this Rangers team, putting them in a position to be winning the division, he should garner votes. I do believe Corey Seager will make this vote very close. I don't want to go that he can win the award yet. I don't know if that's going to happen because he has missed time. So has Ohtani. Ohtani has, you're talking about historical season. Every time he pitches and hits, it's historical in my view. So the difference maker, and I'm not trying to contradict myself because I just said if you're on the winning team, you deserve the MVP. Corey Seager, because he is on the team that's winning that's potentially going to win the division, that should make the vote very, very close. The American League closer than what anybody really thinks. I just don't know if it's enough to take away the spotlight of what Ohtani has done. But we saw Ohtani be almost. We're talking about unanimous. It was going to be unanimous this year. I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to that. I think it'll be a very tight vote between Ohtani and Corey Seager. And Seager's the only one in the American League I think that can take that award away from Shohei Ohtani.
Of course, JG, when it comes to Ohtani, MVP or not, everything is lining up for what is going to happen with him in the offseason. Rosenthal comes out with a report earlier this week that the Mets and the Dodgers appear to be the front runners. I don't understand that personally. I don't understand how the Mets are an option for anybody at this point when the Mets have basically said that next year is still a complete rebuild and that we'll see what happens the year after that. But really, it's the year after that that's probably going to be the competitive year. So when they're out in the public basically saying we're in the middle of a 1 to 3 year rebuild, if I'm Shohei Ohtani, why would I even consider being a part of that when I'm already about to be 30 or I'm pushing 30 here? I don't see it. I don't see why he would choose to do that, especially when a couple of weeks ago he said he would prioritize winning over money. So the Mets, sure, they'll throw money at him. They can't throw winning at him. So whatever. Rosenthal knows obviously more than I do. But then he also named 3 other teams as potential dark horse teams. And those teams are the San Francisco Giants, the Seattle Mariners, and then the other team was the Texas Rangers. So obviously the Giants and the Mariners give you the West Coast vibe. I guess the Mariners can be considered a winning team. They have a chance to make the wild card this year, and then the Rangers are by far a winning team, and they're doing some great things down there in Arlington. So of those 5 teams, let's just focus on those 5 because those are the 5 that Rosenthal mentioned. Is there a team besides the Dodgers in that mix that you think is a legitimate contender to land Shohei?
Yeah, there is 2 of them, and I've said the Mariners were one because of the Ichiro connection. That Ichiro is a mentor to Shohei Ohtani, so and that means for Japanese culture, the respect that you have for somebody who's viewed as a mentor is imperative to the culture that they grew up in. So that's why I do think the Mariners have a chance at Ohtani just because of the Ichiro connection. The San Francisco Giants, if we remember last year, and Chris, you remember this, they made a move, and they were on the verge of getting Aaron Judge. So they have money. They have the money to go and make a play for Shohei Ohtani, and they have a history of winning. I know they haven't won recently, but they have a history in the recent years, in the last decade and a half, of winning World Series. So how close or the question you have to ask if you're Ohtani is how close or how far away are you, San Francisco, from getting back to those days? That needs to be the question that needs to be asked, which they have some good pieces with Logan Webb. They have Alex Cobb. They have some good pitchers in that rotation, which we know Ohtani won't pitch in 2024, but you put him in that lineup and you're able to add a few more pieces to make the lineup deeper. San Fran can be a pretty sneaky team to get back into the upper echelon of the NL West that is still owned by the Dodgers. The Diamondbacks are a young and up-and-coming team. But if you can get Ohtani in San Francisco, that kind of changes the game a little bit in the West. So I can see the Giants making a play because, again, they had the money to Judge. So that means they still have that money sitting around, collecting dust to make a move for Ohtani here and keeping him on the West Coast, which San Francisco also has a high Asian community, a strong Asian community as well. So I think that has a factor into it. But they have the money and they have the history that's not too far off. It's not like the Mets. I love taking shots at the Mets, but Mets haven't won a World Series in over 30 years. They went to the World Series. They lost the World Series, one time, in the last, century, in this century, but they haven't won a World Series since the 80s. So nobody's sitting here saying that the Mets are going to be, I know they went to the World Series in 2000 as well, but everybody forgets about that as well. But they haven't won one in recent times. The Giants have. They've won multiple World Series in recent years over the last decade and a half. So the history is there in San Fran that is not in New York and the Mets. So I could say Mariners and Dodgers, and Mariners and Giants have the opportunity to make a play more compelling than what the Dodgers have as well, because I think the Dodgers have more flaws and more holes that Ohtani can't cover for them. It would and they're a better team. I'm not going to sit here and say the Dodgers are going to be the Angels, for them. They are a better team, but they still have flaws and holes that have been exposed this season that they need to prioritize more so. And I know getting Gavin Lux back at shortstop may help. We don't know, but it may help. But there's still issues where you have Mookie Betts playing both outfield and second, as just said. I'm not convinced that the Dodgers are the right fit for Ohtani. Will they make the move or they make the play? Yes. But I think the Mariners and Giants, probably the Giants more so, make more sense for Ohtani than the Dodgers. Rangers, I don't know if they have the money. I know priority is winning over money, but you still have to make the offer that makes sense. You can't just go, hey, we're going to offer you $100 million. Well, that's not going to work. You got to get somewhere in the ballpark. I don't know if the Rangers have that ability right now to make that move. So if I had to go, the Giants and Mariners would be the top teams to compete with the Dodgers for Ohtani.
And last thing I want to talk about, JG, before we get you out of here, obviously, since I didn't mention the New York Yankees being attached to Ohtani, it doesn't mean that there are not names attached to them. And it appears the biggest name attached to the Yankees as we head into the offseason is Juan Soto, who is under contract currently with the San Diego Padres, who is under a very long contract with the San Diego Padres. So I have to ask you, JG, as we know, we've seen reports coming out saying that San Diego is the most toxic team in Major League Baseball. And apparently the entire team is just burning around all of their stars. And we've had people like Manny Machado come out and be like, nah, we're fine. Like, this is crazy. What are you guys talking about? And we have other people come out and be like, no, it's really bad in San Diego. So two things, JG. One, how much credibility do you give to the reports of it being that bad in San Diego? And two, is there really a world, because I don't see one, but is there really a world where they would even think about moving Soto, whether it be to the Yankees or someone else? I know his contract is big, but he's still young. So I think they would try to move other pieces if they're going to shed payroll before they try to go and move Soto.
So Soto is actually not on a long-term contract. He's still arbitration eligible. He's on 1 year, 23.
Okay.
So he's arbitration eligible this offseason. This will be this offseason, and then 2025 he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So he still has this year and next year of arbitration eligibility. After 2025, he can become an unrestricted free agent, which makes things a little bit more interesting because again, it does limit the leverage San Diego has as far as if they want to make a move. If somebody wants to make a move for Soto, which that's in play, I don't know. I don't know if San Diego, and I know you're kind of going off topic on the question you asked, but I don't know if San Diego really wants to keep Soto because of the financial commitments they've made to Xander Bogaerts, Yu Darvish, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis. They just, Jake Cronenworth. I know he's not to the same level, but he's $80 million he signed for. You have a lot of commitments, made that, and Soto hasn't performed to the level that you expected him to be when you traded for him, what he was doing in DC. But he's not on a long-term contract. He's still arbitration eligible for at least for this offseason and for next offseason. After 2025, he's a free agent, which, like I said, that makes things a little interesting this offseason as what the San Diego Padres does with him. In regards to the clubhouse culture, look at the record. That team is too talented. And again, this is why you don't play the game on paper. Baseball, and you can have I listened to you guys talking about the trade with Dame Lillard to the Bucks, and on paper, Bucks look pretty good, but the game's never played on paper. You have to still go play the game. And with $300 million Xander Bogaerts, $300 million Manny Machado, $300 million Fernando Tatis, Yu Darvish, $240 million. Snell, he's going to get a big payday this offseason too. Probably a Cy Young winner as well. And you still couldn't do enough to get to it. So yeah, I actually believe the clubhouse culture is as horrible as the reports Ken Rosenthal came out and made reports last week about. They can deny it all they want, but the play on the field, look at what it is. And I'm looking at the comment and what Gene said, there is no leadership. If Manny Machado is looked at as your leader of the clubhouse, you are in trouble. Nothing against Manny Machado, but he's not the definition of leadership. He never has been in his career. And if he has to be the spokesperson for your clubhouse, my goodness, that's not a good thing. And so that's who's been kind of, from the reports that Rosenthal put out, has been the vocal leader of this team. And when you have your vocal, and then the reports came out and said, well, your vocal leader, Machado, says this, that it needs to happen for the team, but he's not doing it himself. Well, that is the MO of Manny Machado. He has been that way wherever he's going. When he was in Baltimore, when things kind of started getting, he started kind of elevating himself as his play in Baltimore. He became that. When he went to the Dodgers, He was that. And again, with a team that was World Series bound like the Dodgers were, he still couldn't follow the culture of that team. He's not going to be a culture setter for you. There, and that's where you look at it and say, who was? Well, it couldn't be Fernando Tatis because he came off his suspension for PEDs. Bogarts probably could have because he came from a World Series team that with the Boston Red Sox that he was on that team that won the World Series just a few years ago. So you would have thought Bogarts, when he came in, could have supplanted himself to be a leader for this group, but that never happened. So who was the leader of this clubhouse? Well, Manny Machado. So if that's the case, the culture was not a great culture. So I believe and it's unfortunate for Bob Melvin because Bob Melvin is one of the good guys of Major League Baseball, and he's a very good manager in baseball as well. And he's going to end up falling on the sword of this, and he's probably going to lose his job at the end of when the season ends. Shouldn't be his fault. It should be AJ Preller's fault for bringing this clubhouse, this team together. But that's a different, and I think he will lose his job too because of how he conducts himself. But no, this culture, this clubhouse culture. Look at their record. Look how they've played. Look how how outspoken they are in the media, and they've been that way for the second half of the season. And now you have Josh Hader even saying, "Well, I don't want a 4-out save because we're not in the postseason," and that's the culture of this team. And so they can deny it all they want, but the evidence of what this season for the San Diego Padres has been on the play of the field, and that is the truth from what it is, and we've seen it so far.
JG, I have to agree with you. When Manny Machado is the voice of reason in the room, you have to kind of look around the room and be like, where am I right now? Why are you talking? Why are you the one speaking to me? So totally agree with you there, JG. Always a pleasure to have you on. I love talking baseball with you. We haven't talked baseball in a hot minute, but things are heating up, sir. Happy to have you back next week as we get into the playoffs and the end of the season. And before I get you out of here, you said it. You said Snell's going to be the Cy Young Award winner. Snell over Strider?
Yes. Strider, as good as he has numbers, consistency matters. And Blake Snell has been very consistent. He's been very good. And even the analytical numbers say it as well. And I think that's where voters go to more so is the analytical numbers. So that favors Snell over Strider. As much as I would love to have the MVP, manager of the year, and on top of that, the Cy Young winner, as much as I would love to have all that in Atlanta, I don't think that's the case this season. I'm going to say right now, hopefully a teaser in the future. This season, it won't be. But future-wise, we could see Atlanta have all three pretty soon.
Garrett Cole, Cy Young in the AL?
Yes, Garrett Cole, I think he will win the Cy Young in the American League as well.
At least we got something going our way. JG, pleasure as always. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for the knowledge, JG.
As always, guys, enjoy. Appreciate it.
Mo, it's a busy place here this morning on the morning show. Everyone wants to be a part of it.
It is. We've got everybody coming through, and there's no shortage of knowledge and opinions, and I love it.
Mo, the Golden State Warriors signed Rudy Gay. How do you feel about that?
He's probably a good locker room guy, I guess.
Mo, is he the guy? We talked about this yesterday. Is
he's
he
the glue guy.
Is he the glue guy?
I think Rudy's it's funny to say this, but at this stage in his career, there it is. Rudy Gay is a glue guy. He is the Randall Cobb of the Golden State Warriors.
Where is Randall Cobb?
Well, you know how that goes. Aaron's gone, so I don't know. That the Jets are probably looking at Randall like he's taking up a roster spot.
Speaking of the New York Jets, Mo, Robert Saleh came out yesterday and he was asked about some comments that Aaron Rodgers made on his besties show, the Pat McAfee show. And Pat McAfee and Aaron were talking about the current state of the New York Jets. Obviously, after galvanizing around Zach Wilson for week 1, they have completely fallen off the rails the last 2 weeks. Zach Wilson is right back at home as the worst rated quarterback in the NFL, a place that he finished the last 2 seasons prior to this season. But on the Pat McAfee show, Aaron Rodgers was taking some shots at his current team. He basically said that they need to grow up a little bit, referring to some of the animated conversations that offensive playmakers were having with the coaches on the sidelines. He also said that we need to hold our poise a little bit better. So Aaron Rodgers calling out his teammates for, basically throwing temper tantrums on the sidelines in situations where they were facing diversity and obstacles that they couldn't overcome. So, of course, Robert Saleh was asked about that, and he said, Mo, what I think we probably expected him to say, which was, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with Aaron, calling us out on the Pat McAfee show. And you know what? I think he's right. I think Aaron was right for what he said. I think he was pointing out that we need to be a little mentally tougher. I think that we need to present ourselves in a better way. And Mo, my first takeaway here is, well, what the hell? What was he gonna say? Was he really gonna sit there and criticize Aaron Rodgers, his $55 million, or however much money Aaron Rodgers is making, the guy that he needs to come back next season because he can't do this again with
Right.
Zach Wilson? Is he
Right.
really going to criticize that guy and say that guy was out of line? And is
No.
he really going to criticize the guy who is probably the only leader that, apparently on that team right now? Because I don't know what else is going on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know if you're a leader, Robert Saleh, because you're trying to rally the troops around Zach Wilson. So is he really going to, take out a guy who is actually speaking the truth about what he's witnessing? Like, what else could he have said in that moment, Mo?
Not the truth. So not the truth. That's being a smart coach. And he's thinking big picture. Like you said, he wants Aaron Rodgers back. He needs a healthy, motivated Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to criticize Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to say anything to anger Aaron Rodgers. I would disagree with his approach. Your team is frustrated. Your not just your defense, because clearly they're frustrated, but your offensive players. When you look at Brees Hall, when you look at Garrett Wilson, Cooks, I really think that they came into the season with so much expectations, and it all ended in less than 4 plays. It was over with, and I get it. The locker room has tried to rally around Zach Wilson, but you pointed out something that's very true. It's the same locker room that wanted Zach Wilson out last year. Same locker room. You've added a couple of pieces, but they've been there long enough to where they're on board too. They want Zach Wilson gone. And if you were 100% in on Zach Wilson, you would not have gone out and gotten older Zach Wilson. You would not have gone out and gotten Trevor Siemian. I think Saleh, you're trying to stretch this out. You're trying to think, let's see if Zach can get us another win before we have to make a change. And I wouldn't do that. You're in a really good division. You just don't have, it's a small margin for error. If you're going to make a quarterback change, I know people go, well, you got to know the system, and Zach Wilson's in the system, and it looks like he didn't know the system, right? So if you're going to make a move, then make a move. I know people are killing Zach Wilson. I'm not trying to kill Zach Wilson. I'm just pointing out, and you do it, and you're doing it in a very fair way. He's a bad quarterback. He's a bad quarterback. It doesn't mean that he can't become a better quarterback. Look, every bad quarterback in the history of football should hope that they have an ending to their career and they can follow the footsteps of Geno Smith, right? Mm-hmm. The Geno Smith story. We can turn it around and actually become a very good quarterback. And maybe it was system, coach, culture. It could be a number of things. Maybe that could happen. But if you're a Jets fan and you're living in this season, in this moment, are you really going to say, let's just let Zach play the rest of the season? Maybe he'll develop and he'll become a better player and he'll set us up for success next year. That's a tough pill to swallow. And to go in there with a straight face and expect your veteran leaders on defense and offense to go, so we're not trying to win. We're just trying to get this guy developed and make him better along the ways. And you're saying, Zach, fling the football. Whether you finish with 19 touchdowns and 35 picks, sling the football, we're going to go with that. That, to me, is basically tanking on the season. The truth is, if the Jets are going to win and you're going to play and roll with Zach Wilson, less of Zach Wilson is more. I would rather hand the ball off on 3rd and long than throw the football with Zach Wilson.
Because at least then you're going to punt it away. as
Right.
opposed to throwing a pick.
Well, right. And you know what? If he's gonna throw a pick, well, you know what? Go for it on fourth down, Zach, and just throw it as far as you can down the
Right.
field.
Right. Mo, I think that, Saleh finally got a question yesterday where he thought to himself, I don't have to lie. I can just tell the truth because all I do is lie about how much I like Zach Wilson. And I'm over it, Mo. I'm done lying. So if you're going to ask me anything else, I'm just going to give you my honest answer.
And I like Saleh as a coach, and you've heard other people say, like, come on, man, you're coming to the podium with a straight face and you're saying, I believe in Zach. No, you don't. No, you don't. I believe in Zach versus I'm stuck with Zach. They're not the same thing. You're stuck with Zach. Now, your front office and your GM could make a move to improve your situation. I've heard people say Carson Wentz is not a world beater. He's not. He's not.
Better than Zach Wilson.
But he is better than Zach Wilson. And people forget the year that he was with the Colts, the season didn't end well, and he struggled the last 5 or 6 games down the season. But the man threw for 28 touchdowns. I think he had like 28 touchdowns, 15 picks. So clearly we know Carson Wentz doesn't lack for talent. And I've seen him do it. And I don't think they're asking him to throw 28 touchdowns. They're just asking him to be enough of a passing threat that we can get the run game going. Yeah, and that's all I'm saying. And right now, nobody fears the passing game. I'm gonna sit my safeties right down in the block. I'm walking them both up. I'm playing man coverage, which normally, if you're guarding Garrett Wilson man to man, zero coverage, man to man, you should get killed. And you won't get killed because Zach Wilson's your quarterback.
Carson's last season in Indianapolis, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Okay,
He did play terrible the last 2 games, but his body of work the entire season, 27-7, and that was with a defense that was nowhere near the New York Jets defense. But again, Mo, I think we've reached the point with the Jets where they've made it clear that they're not trying to win this season. They're going to take what they have, and if they end up getting 6 or 7 wins because of their defense, it is what it is. But I think in the back of their minds, they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They have a first-round draft pick they didn't think they were going to have, and now they're trying to maximize the value of that first-round draft pick and get a really great player that they probably shouldn't have had the chance to get, while also bringing Aaron Rodgers back for a second season and maybe really set themselves up for the future.
If that's a strategy, I'm with it, right?
Right,
100%. If that's a strategy, if that's that, I get it. I get what you're doing.
Well, I'm going to throw 3 names at you, all right? And for our listeners, this was not in our show notes. Mo has no idea that I'm about to do this to him, and we're just going to put him on the spot and see what he does. Mo, I'm going to throw 3 names at you, and they all have one thing in common. You ready for this?
Let's go.
The 3 names are Ryan Tannehill, Keenan Allen, and Mike White. What do you think they all have in common?
I have no clue. That's a good one. Ryan Tannehill, Keenan Allen, and Mike White.
Yep.
No clue.
They've all thrown 1 touchdown pass this season.
See, you got me there. That's actually a really good one. I like that one. Well, you know what? I don't know. They're on the schedule, so you know what? That could change. They might have something in common coming this week because the Bears do play the Broncos, and this is a chance for the best running quarterback in history to get him a touchdown pass.
That's right.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Also, Tennessee Titan fans, I hate to bag on you, but Mike White did it in 2 dropbacks. Keenan Allen did it in 1 dropback. It took Tannehill 83 dropbacks to get his 1 touchdown.
I think isn't Mike White's. He has such a clean game that his percentages are better than Tua's, probably, right?
They are. He was 1 for 2 for like 70 yards and a touchdown.
Come on. You got a controversy.
Before we get to, do you know, and this is how blasphemous Dolphin fans are, when they signed Mike White in the offseason, there were some Dolphin fans who were like, he should start over Tua. Can you believe that nonsense?
That's insane.
The things I got to deal with in my fan base, Mo. Before we get to tonight's predictions, let's get to our top 10 NFL teams heading into week number 4. Each week, Mo and I put together our list of top 10, and it's just our list. If you don't like it, that's perfectly fine. Tell us about it. Go into the chat, tell us why we're right, tell us why we're wrong. But the way we construct our lists is pretty simple. Every team that's one rung higher, we think that if they were to play each other, they would beat that team. So it's that simple. All right. We'll obviously give a little bit of insight here and there. But if you're looking at, why do you have this team 9 and why do you have this team 8? Well, because if they played each other, we think the 8 team would beat the 9 team. Right? It's not rocket science over here. So don't make it more than it is.
And the list is fluid, right?
Right. Yeah, of course they're fluid. They're week by week. So we'll let you start it off, Mo. Just run through your list. We'll see what you got.
I actually don't have my list on me. I'm actually in a different location because my daughter is taking over my room.
That's fine. I will run through my list and you can react to my list. All right.
Fair
Mo?
enough.
All right. I'm going to start off number 10 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't like the Steelers offense, but I love the Steelers defense. TJ Watt is darn near unstoppable. And Mo, I looked at my list like 3 or 4 times because I was like, I'm not going to put the Steelers on my list. And I really couldn't find another team below them that I really felt comfortable saying if the Steelers played them, that this team would win, 6 out of 10 times. So I said, all right, Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be number 10. Number 9, another team I didn't think I was going to have on my list, but their defense is ridiculous, and that is the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have given up less than 500 yards of offense through 3 games. They are literally stopping teams from doing anything against them. I don't like Deshaun Watson. He did play better last week, though. And if he can play the way he played last week, which is slightly above average, and the defense continues doing what it's doing, Mo, this is going to be a playoff contending team.
100%.
And they could win the division because Cincinnati's a mess right now. Baltimore is injured right now. Like, this defense is legitimate. And if they can just get some sort of consistency on offense, I'm not going to say the Browns can't win their division. Agree or disagree?
100%. Look, they don't even need Watson to be, because a lot of people keep talking about him returning to the form he had when he was with Houston. They don't need that. They just need somebody that's solid and can make timely plays. And that might be where he's at in his career right now. But that defense is so insane, so dominant right now. I can see them not just winning the division, but going on a deep playoff run. And look, the running game, you lose Nick Chubb, but I still think they're going to run the football pretty well. It's a good offensive line. It's a good run blocking offensive line. So I love that you have Cleveland in your top 10, because I think as the season progresses, you're talking about one of the 5 best defenses in all of football.
But if they played them tomorrow, I think the Detroit Lions would beat the Cleveland Browns. I like what Detroit has weapon-wise on offense. I also like the Detroit Lions defense. The Lions have won 10 of their last 13 games dating back to last season. This is now a winning culture in Detroit. It's crazy to say that, Mo, but it is a winning culture, and Cleveland does not have that yet. Cleveland does not have a winning culture. They struggled last season, even when Deshaun came back. It's looked better this season, but 3 games does not make a winning culture. If you look at what the Lions did from the midway point last season through now, this is a team that plays with confidence, and they've gotten better around their piece-wise on offense and defense as the team has gotten better. And I will not accept slander against Jared Goff.
Thank you.
He is a Super Bowl quarterback, and he is a quarterback that fits this system. He may not work in a different system, Mo, but in Detroit's system, with what he's asked to do, with the weapons that he has to do it with, it's worked. He's won 10 of 13.
I'm actually a Jared Goff fan. I feel about him in a very similar fashion that I feel about Kirk Cousins. I kind of have that same thing with both of them. I think Jared Goff oftentimes gets forgotten about because they think that, granted, McVay was a great play caller, and I'm sure early in his career, sure, he coached him up. But I think on his own merits, on his own talent, Jared Goff is a very good quarterback.
Not 100%. Number 7, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Yes, they looked a little rough week 1 against the Rams, but the last 2 weeks, they have rebounded. They have looked terrific on offense. Geno looks the part from last season. I like their running back room. I like what they have on defense. I like the fountain of youth that is forever Pete Carroll. I don't know how he does what he does at his age, running up and down the sidelines like he's a 24-year-old kid. I look at him and Bill Belichick, and I'm like, really? You're about the same age? Because y'all don't look the same at all out there. So I love what
Pete
Seattle's
Carroll is
doing.
insanely fit.
Right.
I'm with you 100%. And look, maybe Geno Magic is back because he looks the part like he did early last season. He's making big throws, cutting back on the turnovers. I love their talent on the outside. They've got a lot of good running backs by committee. The defense has stepped their game up. This is going to be the team that's going to challenge the Niners for that division.
Number 6, I have the Buffalo Bills. Listen, Buffalo has a great defense, all right? I will not take that away from the Bills. Buffalo also has a top 10 quarterback in Josh Allen. But there comes a time, Mo, when you have to stop getting by on your ceiling. There comes a time where the potential isn't enough anymore, and Buffalo has reached that in my point of view. They had a window. It was about a season and a half where they were the darlings to go to the Super Bowl. They were going to, bring all this life back to Buffalo, and it didn't happen. They lost a really great game against the Chiefs in the playoffs. They lost a great game against the Bengals in the playoffs. And then things started to get a little rocky. Dable left. Josh Allen hasn't looked the same since Brian Dable left. Since the start of last season, he has the most turnovers of any quarterback in the NFL. He continues to turn the ball over in games that they're winning where their defense is being elite. You can't take anything away from a defense that turns the ball over 5 times and sacks the quarterback 9 times. Now, I am going to say you were playing Sam Howell, so let's not pretend that you were doing that against Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow,
Right.
but, maybe it wouldn't be so hard against Joe Burrow right now. The guy can't move.
Right.
But let's not act like you had a Hall of Fame quarterback back there or you had an elite offense back there, but it doesn't matter. You play who is on your schedule and you do what you have to do. And the Buffalo defense has been dominant the past 2 weeks. The previous week they did it against Jimmy Garoppolo and the Las Vegas Raiders. That being said, even though they're 2-1 and even though the defense is playing really, really well, Josh Allen is playing average compared to Josh Allen standards. And I like the fact that he's running the ball less. He's only averaging like 4.5 carries a game. I think that's fantastic. But you're still seeing turnovers and miscues in games where the defense is destroying the other team. So you shouldn't be seeing those things. It was 37-3 against Washington. Washington didn't score until the very end of the game just to save the shutout. Why is Josh Allen throwing picks? Like, you should be running a type of offense in that game where you know you're going to win it and you're going to win it comfortably. You shouldn't be making mistakes, Mo. But yet he still
they
is.
get a run game.
Right. So why are we still making mistakes? And that's my concern with Josh Allen. Even when it seems like everything is going perfectly. You're up big, multiple touchdowns. Your defense is dominating. You can literally do anything you want to do on the offensive side of the ball, but you're still making a mistake. Those are the games where you should be clean. Those are the games where you should be flawless, but he's still making mistakes. So you have to look at it and be like, well, what happens when they play Miami and it's a close game, or Philly, or Kansas City? He's still going to make those mistakes, but now those mistakes are going to potentially cost them the game. And that's my issue.
I'm with you 100%. Look, no one has to sell us on Josh Allen's talent.
Not at all.
Or what he could be. Nobody has to sell us on that. But I do think that there comes a time when you keep talking about the ceiling and you have to wake up to the reality is he is one of those guys that has a knack for throwing the wrong pass at the wrong time. It's just what it is. He is not one of those guys. If you describe quarterbacks and how they approach the game, I would not call Josh Allen patient. I think it goes against his instinct. He is a gunslinger by nature. And like you said, it's a clean game. You're up 37. Just hand the ball off, man. Hand the ball off. Your defense has total control of the game, and you run the clock out and play a clean game, and he still's got a – and look, maybe it doesn't help that you've got a wide receiver who thinks the way you think. We're up 37, man.
Give
Throw
me the ball.
damn ball anyway. I'm open, right? So I'm sure that doesn't help either. But that's my biggest flaw when I look at Josh Allen. I'm sold on the talent, but if you're telling me Buffalo's going to win the Super Bowl, I'm not sold on that because I think at some point he will make that throw that just guts you. I just think he will. They'll play the Dolphins, and it'll be a tight game. They might even control the game. And if I'm a Dolphin fan, I'm just sitting back and going, "Come on, Allen, just
Wait
give us
for it.
one. Just give
Right.
us one."
It's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point. Number 5, I got the Dallas Cowboys. I like Dallas's defense better than I like Buffalo's defense. I know Dallas had a little bit of a letdown against the Commanders. I also like Dallas's offense better than Buffalo's, only because they don't have their highs aren't as high as Buffalo, but their lows are not as low.
Agreed.
And I like the consistency that is the elite game manager Dak Prescott, because Buffalo might beat them 6 out of 10 times, but the 4 times they lose, it's going to be really bad because Josh Allen's going to do crazy dumb things. The 6 times the Cowboys lose, they're pretty much going to look the same. Stat-wise, you're not going to see anything too crazy in there. And I like consistency, and there is something to be said about consistency for the Dallas Cowboys. Number 4, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly fans are probably going to kill me, Mo. Your offense isn't right yet. I don't care what you say. The Philadelphia Eagles offense is not where it needs to be yet. So I can't have them higher than 4. What say you?
I don't think we're that off. I had them at 3, but you've got them at 4. I'm looking at a team whose offense has not really caught on yet. They still seem in disarray. They can't be consistent. Jalen Hurts was going to be an early MVP candidate. He hasn't really met that standard, but I can't kill them because they seem to be doing just enough, right?
Yeah,
The
for sure.
defense has played well. The offense has done just enough. And when the passing game isn't working, the one thing they've been able to fall back on is their run game has been solid. It's been strong at times. So I don't mind that you have them at 4. I would have had them at 3, but I think we're thinking the same way. We're looking at a team with Super Bowl aspirations, but they don't look quite right, yet they're still finding a way to win games, and you have to give them credit for that.
Number 3, I have the San Francisco 49ers. I like the Niners defense a little bit better than Philly, and their offense is just being more consistent right now. I do not think Brock Purdy is as talented as Jalen Hurts.
No way.
But when Jalen Hurts is not quite right yet, when Jalen Hurts is still going through the early season struggles of having a new offensive coordinator and some new things within the system, and you're still seeing that, when Jalen Hurts is clearly struggling with zone defense, which he is and he has, just for that, I give Brock Purdy the slight edge. This could be completely different in 4 weeks, Mo. Once Jalen kind of gets his groove back and gets things kind of figured out on the offensive side of the ball and the offense gets humming, this offense could be far better than Brock Purdy
no
in the
question.
San Francisco offense. But as they stand right now, heading into week 4, I think the San Francisco offense is just a little bit better. I also think their defense is better, so they're number 3.
I just think looking at the two teams, I'm with you 100%. The 49ers are the more balanced team, and they have an identity. They want to run the ball, and they want to beat you with the short passing game and trust their playmakers to break 3 or 4 tackles, right? They live off of the yak. When you look at what Deebo Samuels can do, what Ayuk can do, what Kittles can do, McCaffrey in the passing game, they have guys who have the ability to make guys miss and break tackles, and they play through that system. They are the more balanced team, and I'm with you. If the Eagles get on track, they're going to be a much more dynamic offense. No argument.
Number 2 are the Kansas City Chiefs. It's hard for me not to have the Kansas City Chiefs towards the top just because of their history. They always find a way to win the division. They always find a way to get to the AFC Championship game. Patrick Mahomes seems to be able to overcome everything. The defense is a little bit better than I think we thought it was going to be. Having Jones back obviously helps. But Mo, I am still concerned about the offensive side of the ball and their wide receivers. I get it. They're making it work. But what happens when they play Miami? What happens? I think they have Philly on the schedule this year. What happens when they go and play Philly? What happens when they get into an actual shootout where the wide receivers are going to take center stage and it's not just going to be Kelsey and Mahomes making crap up on the fly, because that's what they were doing last week and it worked, and that's fine. You played the Chicago Bears. I don't want to hear about it. But when you start playing better defenses and you start playing teams that can kind of go toe-to-toe with what you can do offensively, and now your receivers have to step up and your receivers have to make big plays in moments that matter. I don't know what that looks like. And I'm not saying they can't do it, because I have a hard time doing that to Patrick Mahomes. But Mo, I also can't help but to look back at week 1 and say the wide receivers literally dropped the ball in the moment, right?
Right.
So does that happen again the next time they get into a shootout and Mahomes is just dropping dimes on your hands and the moment's too big for you, or whatever it was? Because until we see it and we see them win one of those types of games, we're going to have that same question. And if it happens again and there's a similar result, a couple of drop passes that could have been a game changer, a drop touchdown, and it ends up in a loss, me and you are going to walk away saying, man, it's okay if the Chiefs are blowing them out early, but if it's a tight game, we don't know if these receivers can come through.
I think we're in agreement here. So we're both Patrick Mahomes fans. We
Love him.
acknowledge what he
Love
can
him.
do. We acknowledge what Andy Reid can do as a coach and a play caller. But talent is talent. And I think that when they play the better teams, that wide receiving core will get exposed more. As great as Patrick Mahomes is, I don't think, and Chiefs fans don't kill me, I don't think you guys have a shot at repeating with this receiving core. I'm sorry. I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough because you're putting too much even on Mahomes or on Kelsey. What happens when he's bracketed and you guys are having one-on-ones, but you can't get separation or make the catches? I don't think Kansas City right now, I don't have no problem where you have them ranked right now, but projecting further down the road, you said there might be another game like week 1. I think there's going to be a few more games like that, and I think they need to go out right now. Don't wait and try to find a way to bring in at least a wide receiver that can make plays or attack the football. They need another playmaker offensively, and it won't be a running back. We know that because we know how people feel about running backs. But go out and get another wide receiver. I say another wide receiver, but it's going to be your number 1 because right now you're getting by with a bunch of number 2s and 3s. You need a legit number 1 wide receiver, especially if you have the same championship goals that you've had the last few seasons. Mahomes, what he did in the Super Bowl was amazing. He's going to have to be amazing. And it's not that he's not capable, but he's going to have to be that all through this season. And you know this, Chris, what happens, like you said, when you play a Dolphins teams that even if your defense plays well, they're probably going to hang at least 28 on you. Can Patrick Mahomes and that offense put up 28 points against a good Miami defense in that off? I don't think so. I don't think they can put up 28 points against the Bills unless Josh Allen helps them out. So I am concerned, and I don't know how if you're a Chiefs fan, you don't look at the big picture and go, look at all the teams in the AFC who could potentially give us problems. Like Cleveland, we mentioned earlier, not a great offensive team, not terrible, but not a great offensive team. But that defense, that defense would absolutely lock up Kansas City's offense. So then you're losing one of those 13-10 games because you can't get that many first downs. You can't move the ball consistently because no one can get open. I'm concerned if I'm a Chiefs fans that we just don't have enough playmakers on the outside.
Mo, to your point, they scored 20 points week 1 against the Lions. The Lions have a pretty good defense. I would say they have a top 15 defense in the league. The second week of the season, they score 17 points against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars have a middle-of-the-road defense. Then they play a bad defense in the Chicago Bears, and they put up 41. Well, let's look forward a little bit, shall we? They got the Jets coming up. Now, they're going to destroy the Jets just because of the fact the Jets aren't going to score points. So they could easily win that game, 24-0. And the Jets defense could play decent, but the Jets aren't going to score points. So that's a lock for them. But if you move past the Jets, and they got the Vikings coming into town, the Vikings offense could give them a little bit of trouble. Then you got the Broncos, but after that, it gets a little interesting. After you play the Broncos the first time, your next 4 games are Chargers, Broncos, Dolphins, Eagles. Take the Broncos out of there. That's 3 games out of 4 where you're playing an offense that is going to put up points against your defense. The Chargers may not have a good defense, but they have a good offense. Herbert is going to put points up. The Dolphins are going to put points up. The Eagles are going to put points up. And as you go through those 3 teams, the defenses get better each time. The Chargers have the worst defense of the three. The Dolphins are probably middle of the pack, and the Eagles have one of the best defenses in the league.
Exactly.
So not only are you playing three offenses that can score a lot of points in that 4-game stretch, each one of those defenses is going to get more challenging. So that's going to be the test, Mo. That's going to be the litmus test right in the middle of the season for the Kansas City Chiefs of what do they actually have in that wide receiver room, and can it be competitive against three teams that all have playoff aspirations?
I'm with you. I just think that with Mahomes, with Reed, with Kelsey, you're always going to be in the game, right? Because of those three. And then you've got Jones back on defense. And you've said, surprisingly, the defense is even better than I expected it to be as an overall unit. But when you start playing the best of the best, we don't judge Kansas City on what they do in the regular season. We look at them and we project what they might do in the postseason. And maybe they get through the regular season and they win 12 games or 13 games and they're fine. And they get to the playoffs and you're playing against the best of the best, and there's a struggle. And I'm going to put it out there. I think at some point during the season, there's going to be a stretch where they struggle because that offense, it just doesn't have enough firepower. Cut and dry. It does. You're not going to get to play the Bears all the time, so you will play teams that are better than the Bears. Look, here's the thing: we know the Broncos they got 70 hung on them, but we think they're better than the Bears. We think that. I have to believe that Andy Reid, Mahomes, and the front office, it's a consideration. And no one likes giving away picks, but it's a consideration to try to go out and at least pursue another playmaker to help Patrick Mahomes. Because if you help Mahomes, you also help Kelsey. It makes Kelsey better. It frees Kelsey up. It makes the offense more diverse. Maybe another playmaker takes pressure off of those young receivers because they're not getting all the attention, and then they can find openings in a zone or something like that. What they don't have other than Kelsey is someone that you can say, we've got to double team him. We've got to stop him. No, you play Kansas City, you want to pressure Mahomes, and you want to bracket Kelsey and let the other guys play one-on-one. And look at even when they killed the Bears, Kelsey didn't put up crazy numbers. He didn't put up crazy numbers. And if you look at his numbers overall this season, they're down, but they're down because teams are literally keying in on him. And they're finding that Mahomes, in a very smart way, to his credit, he is dinking and dunking his way down the field, which the great quarterbacks do. They make an adjustment and they say, so I'm not going to be explosive, 6 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards. I will dink and dunk you. But I think when you play that kind of football, it's a small margin for error. Because when you dink and dunk, there's a tip pass, there's a fumble or a pick. When you eliminate the possibility that your offense can be explosive, it seems like your offense is just a limited offense altogether. That's all I'm saying.
And Mo, I'll tell you right now, if the Chiefs come out this weekend against the Jets and they win 21-3, I'm concerned because that's another game where you didn't score over 21 points against a good defense. And now you're looking at a Chiefs team that 3 games this season, 21 points or less, and their only big win was against a terrible defense in Chicago. If you're a Chiefs fan, I need to see 30 this week. I need to see your offense flex its muscles a little bit against a team where you know they have no offense. So if you get on them early, they're going to start doing crazy things with Zach Wilson that should put you in a good position to really run up the score. But I'm not, even if it's 21-3, you won by 18 points, I'm still not feeling good about it. Because I'm just saying that it's another game where you couldn't score more than 3 touchdowns. So
I'm with you. Agreed.
Obviously, my number one is the Miami Dolphins going into week 4. If they lose to Buffalo this week, they will not be number 1 next week. I think Buffalo is a really big test for them for many reasons. It's the best team in their division. Many people picked Buffalo to win the division. Buffalo had better Super Bowl odds than Miami going into this season. So if you go into Buffalo and you lose and now you're tied for the division lead and Buffalo will actually be in the first place, it doesn't do you any favors. So I think Miami, despite hanging 70, despite beating the Patriots defense, and despite winning a shootout against the Chargers, if you're going to be taken seriously, you need to make a statement against your biggest in-division rival on their turf, in their house, and that has to happen this weekend. So if Miami goes up to Buffalo, and takes care of business, I really think they will cement themselves as, I would say, the best team in the AFC as of right now. If they go up there and they lose to Buffalo, I think the narrative is they're just not quite there yet. They have a great offense, but they haven't quite put it all together, and Buffalo would rightfully be the favorite to win that division again.
It's a monster game, and I think the matchup has ramifications for both teams. Buffalo started off the season obviously with a horrible loss to the Jets. They seem to have righted the ship, but if you look at the teams they've beaten, they weren't world beaters. This is their first true test, and it's against a division foe, so it matters. And I'm sure they're looking at the Dolphins and going, they have all the talent in the world. We respect that, but they're not hanging 70 on us. Like they're probably thinking like we're thinking like we want to hold them to about 20. Like if you can hold Miami to 20, to me, that's a damn great defensive job. If you can hold them to 20, if they can possess the football and run the football and hold Miami to 20, that would be impressive. Now, having said that, that is so much easier said than done. So much easier said than done. So the key to me for Buffalo to win, one, they're going to have to score. You're going to have to score some points. Two, you're going to have to find a way to get Tua out of the pocket. He's played well, but he's played with a clean pocket. He's been able to climb the pocket and attack downfield. They're going to have to get him off his launching mark and make him move more. The question, though, I have is, are they going to be prepared if Miami is able to run the football again?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm looking at, because I expect Miami to run the ball a lot more than anybody else does.
No, 100%. And I have to say this, Mo. I don't toot my own horn often, but I did say coming into week 1, if Buffalo loses to the Jets, I did think they were going to bounce back against the poor teams of the Raiders and the Commanders. And granted, the Commanders were a little better than they thought they were going to be. But I did say before the season began, if Buffalo loses to the Jets, that Miami game is going to be huge for them. Because if they lose that game, they'll be 2-2, but they'll be 0-2 in the division. Now, granted, 0-2 in the division doesn't look as bad when there's no Aaron Rodgers. I said that assuming Aaron Rodgers was going to be on the New York Jets.
Right.
But it doesn't change the fact that you're 500, 0-2 in the division. That's tough. So, and that's the position that Buffalo is in right now.
Agreed.
If they lose this game on Sunday to Miami, they're 2-2. They're 2 games behind Miami, and they've already lost to Miami. This is a huge game for Buffalo for it only being the 4th game of the season. All right, Mo, before we get out of here, we got football tonight, Mo. Football is happening.
Yes, sir.
It should be a really good game. The Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers.
I'm hoping.
First place is on the line early in the season in that division. Mo, who do you like tonight? Man. I know it's tough, right? It's tough.
It is tough because the Packers have been so much better than people expected them to be.
Oh, and let me tell you this, Mo. Let me tell you this. Watson's playing tonight. It looks like the running back Jones is going to play tonight. It looks like the running back for Detroit, Montgomery, is going to play tonight. And Detroit is going to have Decker play tonight. So they're pretty healthy, both teams.
You know what? I'm still going to be consistent. I still think Detroit is the better team. I think it's going to be a good football game, but I'm gonna trust in Jared Goff with his playmakers, and I think Detroit's defense will do enough to slow down Jordan Love and the Packers' offense. Even though they've got back Aaron Jones, who's terrific out the backfield, an electric playmaker. Watson will be back too as well. I'm gonna go with the Detroit Lions to pull this one out. I think it's gonna be a good game, but I'm gonna stick with Jared Goff and company.
As you know, I unfortunately had Deshaun Watson as my starting quarterback on one of my fantasy football teams. I recently dropped him and was able to pick up Jordan Love. So I will be rooting for Jordan Love in the Green Bay Packers tonight. Because coming into this week, he is the 6th highest rated quarterback in fantasy football. So I would like to see some numbers from Jordan Love now that he's a part of my team. I'm going to go Packers tonight. I think it's going to be a really close game. I just like the fact that they're getting Watson for the first time this season as a weapon on the outside. And I also like the fact that Aaron Jones is coming back from his injury. But I think this is going to be a really fun game. I think it's going to be a back and forth game. I'm not expecting a blowout. I'm expecting to actually see some good football on Thursday Night Football for once this season. And I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good time. So you're going to go Lions. I'm going to go Packers. and we are going to end the show because that's all we got. What a show we had this morning.
Great show, guys.
Shout out to Freddie for joining us, Brett for joining us, JG for joining us. The chat was on fire this morning. Coach is in there. Marlon's in there.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Gene was
Marlon.
laying into Freddie this morning. The Pat Riley stuff.
That kind of seems very familiar.
Right? Doesn't it? It has a certain
Very
vibe
familiar.
to it. Key was in there this morning. We appreciate all of you. Mo, close us out, sir.
Appreciate you guys. Smash that like button. Share the show. Share all the content that we're offering to you from Sports Empire Network. Got some great stuff coming ahead. Appreciate everything you guys do. Appreciate the love. Check out the Empire.
Same time, same place tomorrow. It's Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show with Chris and Mo here on Sports Empire Network. We will see